Today we're going to be taking a deep look at the Lautaro Martinez transfer saga. Most of us know that he's on track, most of us believe that it's going to happen, then why in the world it's taking so long? Hello everyone, ¿cómo están? And it seems the Lautaro Martinez transfer is not a matter of if it's going to happen, it looks more as if it's a terms of when it's going to happen. We all know that Barcelona is looking for this one-of-a-kind replacement for Luis Suarez, and Lautaro Martinez might just be the best bet for the club to be able to achieve that. However, this begs many questions, two of which we're going to be trying to answer in today's video. Does the transfer for Lautaro Martinez even make sense? And if so, how much money should Barcelona spend on a player like him? So does Lautaro Martinez actually make sense for Barcelona? Well, if you are looking at it from the perspective that you want a player to replace Luis Suarez, we need to understand what is that Luis Suarez has done for Barcelona to really get a grasp as to why would it be so important to get someone like Lautaro. Suarez is a very good player when it comes to drifting into the wide channels and dragging along defenders to make space for Messi in the middle. This is something that many strikers normally tend to struggle with. Playing around Messi is not simple because we have a player that initially you see on paper, he's on the right hand side of the field, but 100% will tend to drift inside, and in very short bursts of time he can shift his position many different times. And he, of course, by individual traits will be able to dribble past different players, but the help that a striker can give him, the best help he has received from someone like Suarez, is when he's able to drift players away from him and move them into the wide areas of the field. That is why we've seen so many curlers score by Lionel Messi outside the box, because he simply has the space to be able to do it. As evidenced by the radars on screen right now, you can see that Lautaro and Luis Suarez shares very similar traits. They're both players that tend to pressure very high up the field. And this is even more evident with Lautaro being younger, because he has that sort of athleticism that Luis Suarez doesn't currently have. El Charrua definitely beats Lautaro in different areas when it comes to actually the number of goals that he scored, the number of assists and association he has in his game, but it doesn't mean that what Lautaro can bring to the table is not as good. There are areas in his game that are better than Luis Suarez at this current stage. So the key, as you have seen for me in Lautaro, is that he's a presser. He gets 5 ball recoveries per 90 minutes, and that is something, a rate better than someone like Sergio Busquets, which is one of the best players at doing that in our team right now. This is something which is very hard to put a price on, and most of the time Lautaro Martinez doesn't get the praise that he deserves because this area of his game. And if he does, he always gets kind of mistaken and confused. People just say that, oh, he gets into fights, or he's a very kind of angry player in the way that he plays his game. No, it's in fact that he's trying to, of course, always pressure. He's always trying to pressure from the forward line, and that is something which not too many players tend to do. The reason why having a presser in your team is very important, especially for the forward line, is that in Barcelona currently, our main kind of tools for pressure is our midfield. And that's where we want to get our ball recoveries. You have Arthur and De Jong, which are currently not settled to the fullest, I would say, in their positions. And then an aging Busquets that, of course, doesn't have the same kind of legs as he did before. So we have seen that many teams get the advantage of Barcelona in the middle of the park. Not because our players are bad by that sense, but because the pressure that normally we want to see from our team there is not nearly as much as we are getting. The reason why someone like Luis Suarez was very good back in 2014 when Luis Enrique was still managing, and 2015, 2016, and so on and so forth, is because we had that player in the front line. Luis Suarez does not normally do that anymore. He's not as, I would say, flexible as he used to be. So that is why a player like Lautaro is something that Barcelona is trying to prioritize. On paper, theoretically, if we play a 4-1-2-1-2 with, I don't know, Lionel Messi in behind the two strikers, be it Antoine Griezmann and Luis Suarez, or be it Lautaro Martinez and Antoine Griezmann, we would have a much better kind of pressing system. However, this will also mean that we're stretching our fullbacks a lot, and our team wouldn't be as wide as we want it to be, and we may even have more troubles trying to open in teams in the later stages of a game. That is why most of the time we are keeping a 4-3-3, even when we sign players like Antoine Griezmann, which are not nearly as good in wide areas. We need those players to kind of be runners in the sense, because Messi can accompany the two forwards up there in the front three, but if they don't have that quality of simply running and looking for the space and making up that, becoming those runner forward types that we need, then we're gonna really struggle. Antoine Griezmann is not necessarily that. That is why he's finding a little bit to struggle in our team, and the same with Philippe Coutinho. They're most of the time acting like secondary strikers or being secondary options for when we're building up a play. And they often tend to play in the same areas as Messi, and of course Messi needs to be the main focus of that. And at the end, we only tend to have one player up top, only one number 9. The tricky thing, guys, is that Lautaro Martinez is not necessarily a runner. He's much more of that enabler, like I mentioned. Right now in the 3-5-2, playing with Lukaku at Conte's Inter, he's doing an incredible job, but most of the time it's Lukaku being that main goal scorer. But Luis Suarez then, how can you say he was a pressure, but why did he work so good at Barcelona? Well, because Luis Suarez knew how to do the 2 different roles whenever he required. Lautaro Martinez, we will only bring in a player that knows how to do that area of the field to pressure. That is why people suggested someone like Timo Werner isn't a bad thing either. So yes, of course, Barcelona has to have a lot of things in mind if they really want to spend that large amount of money on someone like Lautaro Martinez. And here I want to give you guys a question, and you can answer me in the comment box down below. Do you think that it's worth a while paying that amount of money to risk a player like Lautaro Martinez either learning the new traits that he needs to grow at Barcelona or not? I don't know. You leave me in the comment box down below. Do you think Lautaro has the potential learning from the mentor that will be Luis Suarez? So moving on to the next question, if Barcelona have identified Lautaro Martinez as their main striker, how much money should they be willing to spend on the Argentinian striker? Considering that he still has 3 years left in his contract, it's no surprise that Inter are trying to kind of make Barcelona pay that 110 million release clause. It's literally no surprise. Of course, you want to get as much money as you can. But if Barcelona are willing to pay that, it's completely absurd, because in no way, shape or form, even in this current post-COVID-19 market, Lautaro Martinez is not nearly worth that amount. There are other areas in the field that Barcelona need to strengthen first, and if you're telling me that spending triple digits on a player like that above any other areas that you need to fix, like defense and maybe even midfield, it's simply something I cannot recommend. Considering his age, his contract, and performances, I would say Lautaro is rated at around 55 to maybe 70 million euros. And in fact, he kind of is. He's worth 64 million euros according to Transfer Market. And just if you want to get a real sense of comparison as to where this stands among other strikers, here you can take a look at it. Players like Haaland, which are younger, or players like Roberto Firmino, which are more established, are of course going to be valued higher. But as you can see, players like Timo Werner are valued at exactly the same price. And it makes you just think to wonder that Chelsea got an amazing deal for this player. Of course, his release clause for Werner was 60 million euros, so it's going to be very close to that. But paying 110 million for Lautaro Martinez just simply looks way more crazy when you see these stats. Adding to that, the transfer of Lautaro Martinez to Barcelona is going to be very difficult to put under, because we have reports suggesting that Barcelona are not necessarily in bankruptcy, but they cannot give themselves the luxury to spend over the money that they can bring in for the players that they sell. It just tells you why Barcelona are in such this ordeal of trying to reduce the release clause and trying to find different measures to pay. The last offer that we know is the 90 million euros that they made plus Junior Firpo. And it makes a lot of sense that Barcelona are getting a lot more desperate, because the time is running out to execute his release clause, because it ends by the mid of July. I still do not think that is the best thing to overspend, because you have, like I said, many other areas of the field that you need to fix first. If you're able to get 90 million euros from selling Rakitic, from selling people like Arturo Vidal, and if you even want players like Philippe Coutinho and Ousmane Dembele, then I may understand really your positioning. But trying to sell players like Junior Firpo, who came in just merely a season ago, is not good enough whatsoever. If it means bringing in a player, which, like we already covered at the start of the video, might not 100% guarantee you to do the best of performances. I will forever support every single player that comes to Barcelona, and even though I think we may need someone like Lautaro Martinez, and I like him as a player, and I think he would do great, I cannot simply vouch for that amount of money on a player. The thing here is, how much will it cost to bring him in? Hopefully this video helped you understand a little bit more the entirety of the situation and really widen out your perspective into this move and answer many of your questions as well. If it did, be sure to drop us a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one. If you're enjoying it, it of course helps out whenever you share this with your friends and so much more. And yeah, that's basically going to be it for today. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.